Howdy and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be doing a tour of my new main computer to support games, 3D CAD, and 4K video editing. I have several computers but usually assemble my main computers. My first computer was an MSI 8080 and I really wish I still had it. It used a linear power supply which you could probably use for welding in a pinch. And you had to really build everything by soldering all the parts to all the printed circuit boards. My current main computer has a Corsair case that is a couple years old, but the internal components go back about 5 to 6 years. I think it could handle 4K video editing, but probably it would be a struggle. So a couple of weeks ago I decided to assemble a new computer. I will not be covering all the parts in detail, nor showing each step of the assembly. To get more pictures of the actual construction, bill of materials, and additional documentation, please go to my website, tigermultimedia.com, and select the Projects button from the navigation list, and then select Skylake computer. Some parts were used in this build because I already had them and thought they would work pretty well in the new system. The case is a white Fantex Inthu-Lux at around $160 US. And as you can see, the packing box shows the black version of the case, and I'll not lie, my heart skipped a couple of beats because I thought they had sent me the wrong one. Then I noticed on the side of the box a label which had a WT, so I was hoping that meant white. I really like Samsung SSD drives, Western Digital black hard drives, and almost any Gigabyte product. In this build I'm using the Asus Z170A motherboard, Gigabyte GTX 970 G1 gaming graphics card, Intel i7 6700K CPU, Corsair Ram 850 power supply, and Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 memory. I will be shortly showing these items installed in the case. Since the Z170A is the entry level in that Asus line, the I/O shield is stainless steel and is not painted. That won't do for a white, black, and blue themed build. I used some painter's tape to cover the finger stock on the shield so it would still be bare metal contacting the motherboard's I/O connectors. I painted both sides of the I/O shield using metal primer and 3 coats of black enamel paint, and then I allowed the paint to cure for a couple days. I then removed the painter's tape to expose the finger stock as shown in this back view of the I/O shield. Here's the front of the I/O shield with no runs, drips, or errors. It's ready to snap into the case, which is basically white with black accents. Okay, taking a look inside the case, the Fantex case here. In the front portion there to your right, that's the 200mm case fan for the front. And we have a shroud in the bottom, and that's for the power supply, and I'll take that out and show it in a minute. I momentarily removed the graphics card because it kind of blocks some of the stuff on the motherboard, and that's why those 2 cables are dangling there next to the power supply. But I'll put those back in. And the motherboard we're using is the Asus 170A. And it has the LGA 1151 socket below the heatsink there, tower. And I'm not sure if this is true or not, but somebody told me that Asus's corporate colors are blue and white. I don't know why I thought maybe red and white, but I'm not sure if that's correct. But since those are blue and white there, I went with blue cables for the SATA, and I knew that the graphics card had a blue LED in it that you can't change, so I thought that would be nice to match it. And then this thing has the RGB lights on the side that are programmable. You can have 10 different colors, so kind of going with a blue, black, and white theme. And just below that, kind of zooming in, and here you can see we have the Samsung VNAND SSD. It's the 950 Pro, as you can see they're kind of upside down, and it has an interface on the motherboard for M.2. And it's a 256 gigabyte, and I have Windows 10 Professional on that. And the speed through the PCI Express 4-lane is a lot faster than my other SSDs in this unit, so boot times I think are going to get down in just a few seconds. Okay, kind of moving up here towards the top, we can see that we have 4 sticks of Corsair Ram. Back out and show that a little bit better. And this is probably a little overkill. I have 32 gigabytes, and it's a DDR4, and each stick is 2 gigs. Excuse me, each stick is 8 gigs, and it's 3200 megahertz. And right now I'm just running at I think the default's 2133 megahertz for DDR4. And I'm not upping anything into overclocking modes until I'm sure everything's stable. And actually for me, priority is stability over speed, but I will probably coax some of these up just a little bit. And underneath the heatsink there, the tower, that's again Fantex fans there, and going with the white theme, and the exhaust fan over the back is also has the white blades, and you might be able to just kind of see at the top. It comes with 3 fans, and I added just 1 more, so the normal case only comes with 1 fan at the top, and I put another one in there. And all 3 of those fans are 140 millimeter. And then the processor under the heatsink is the Intel Core i7. It's the 6700K, and it's the Skylake. And it's because of the K, it's unlocked, so quad core with 8 threads. And its default, I think, is going at 4 gigahertz. And it cost me from Newegg, the time of this filming was around $360. And I forgot to mention the motherboard was about $140. Okay, here I'll just remove the power supply shroud. There are 3 screws on the back that I removed. They're up in this area, so it kind of holds it in there. And then it has some rubber grommets with some friction that kind of holds it down the front. So you have to pull it out, lift up, move it over a little to the side, and then it comes out. So it's not too bad. And then that exposes the power supply that I'm using. It's a Corsair again. Pretty happy with those, although I had one a few weeks ago fail, and I may have to look into that. And this is the RM850. And then I did use, it's a modular supply design. And for, again, kind of going with the white, I've been trying to use some of the cabling with the individual sheath white. So again, I really like this. Again, lots of filters underneath, and again, really optimized for some water support, putting in reservoirs and pumps and everything. Nice thing is on this particular motherboard, it even has a connector for controlling pump speed. Another thing also on this particular motherboard, it has a white shroud that goes over on the I/O output plate, so it kind of covers things up. It also has Crystal 3 support, 8-channel audio with a separate lines and grounding through the motherboard, so it's supposed to be a pretty nice one. I have listened to it with the headphones so far, and it does sound really nice. And here we have a view of the back panel. I have a close-up shot down here of the power supply. And a nice feature is there are filters for this, so they just pull out. And there's 2 bottom filters, one in the front that pulls out, and then this one for the power supply in the back. So basically you have filters that run all the way across the bottom of the case. Then moving up, you have 8 slots, and on the right-hand side there are some punch outs for adding a reservoir. Again, this case, as I mentioned, is optimized for liquid cooling. Then up here we have the top. Okay, in the back panel I/O, you have 2 USB ports. You've got a display port, HDMI, VGA, DVI-D, and again, all these video or graphics ports are basically through the Intel chip. You have a PS2 port, which everybody needs, of course, and you have 2 3.0 USBs. You've got a gigabit Intel LAN port, and you have 2 3.1 USBs, also with Type-C, and you have 8-channel audio with DTS support, and you have a SPDIF audio optical output port. This again is the other side, and you can see that Fantex does a really good job for cable management. So they have a lot of Velcro straps that you can put in. They can give you some spares, so you can make it pretty neat. It's recessed far enough back so you can really put quite a bit of cabling in it without pushing against the outside panel. I kind of like that. Over on this far side here, you have 6 bays. They just simply pull out, and you put in your different drives and everything. And I'll kind of zoom in on each piece here. There's just a couple here. I'll do it really quickly. So over here is my solid state hard drives. I have 2 Samsung SSDs. They're both the same, and they're the 850 Pros, each 512 gigabytes. And the reason it's kind of split up this way, I already had one, so I put it in there. And I also bought an extra bracket from Fantech, which allows you to stack 2 of them down here. So I have one more space if I'd like to add another one. So a lot of the stuff that I'll be doing will be off the solid state drives. And again, that NVRAM SSD in the front there, the Pro 950. This little circuit board right here is a fan distribution unit. It does have some ICs on the other side of it, so you can come in and handle DC controlled or pulse width modulated out to multiple fans, and that's the way the 3 fans that they give you were plugged into this. But the board that I have, Asus, is pretty sophisticated. They have some great fan controller, and in fact all my fans are individually controlled by the motherboard, so I just didn't need this. It looks like there's also another mounting where you could, I guess, put another one in, and I know you can buy an option expansion unit if you want to, but again, this board really handles everything that I want. Reasonably sophisticated. And then over this side, like I just mentioned, it is a 6-bay system, and I have a 3 terabyte hard drive in the system, and it's a Western Digital Black Series. And again, that's kind of where I back stuff up, at least within the computer, and then I have a NAS computer on my network, and I back up to that. And really, all that's not the greatest backup, because true backup should be off-site, because you have a fire, and of course you lose everything. Of course, if I have a fire, I think I'll be worried about a lot more than these videos. Another nice feature of this case is you can see we have some thumb screws on here, and you can take out these 4 bays, or you can take out the bottom 4, take them all out. And you can see at the top of the case, there's actually screws for the top and bottom panels and everything. There are a couple of pop rivets, but only on the motherboard to back panel, which you wouldn't be taking apart. But really, this whole case, you can disassemble it and take out whole sections if you want to really do some major modifications. The side panels are kind of nice. They're more like cabinets or doors on cars. Just hinges in one place. There's no extra little slots you have to get it into. So you hook it into that one hinge and then just simply close it up. And then it's 2 thumb screws. And they put washers on the thumb screws, which is a nice touch. They're rubber washers, so you don't scratch up your case. And the same arrangement on this side, except you do get some plexiglass windows, which I've read some comments are they can easily get scratched. There's a bit of reflection on the acrylic panels there, but I turned some of the lights off just so you kind of see the lighting effect. So I don't have the keyboard or anything hooked up, but just powered up so you can see them. You see it comes up, and I've got a blue, and it's on both sides of the case. And the power button lights up with whatever color you choose. And the wind force, as you can see, is blue. So I've got this blue, black, and white theme going. And like I said, you can choose from 10 different colors. So overall, I think it looks pretty nice. You can also buy a kit where you have additional RGB LEDs inside, and you get them in 1 meter and 2 meter lengths that plug into the controller, and also it controls it. And here on the front, you've got an air filter behind this, and this is the 200 millimeter intake fan for the case. You have 3 slots here that you can put in different peripheral devices. And it is aluminum. This portion of the case is aluminum, the front panel, and it's a gloss white. And I think the paint job was done very well. I did add an Asus DVD burner just because I have a lot of blank DVDs, and a lot of times I'll burn something, just a video to give to friends, and it's just a convenient thing as I use those up. And there, some other applications. And then at the top here, we'll zoom in on this. This is some I/O port access and control. Okay, you just open this up, and you have 2 USB 3.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, microphone input, headphone output, And this is the reset button for the computer. And this button over here is so you can choose your 10 different colors for the side panels, or you can turn it off. And you can't see it, but on the top there is a power button and a hard drive access light. And here's a look at the top of the case. Again, there's your power button. It illuminates around the side right here. It's kind of ellipse. And then this is your LED activity light for your hard drive. And again, all the filters are removable. This is where you can put your fans in, or there can be radiators set into this. And there's two things over here. Just click it and it just pops out like that. That's your filtering. And then it exposes and gives you the fans. You can see how deeply set that is, so you could add a liquid cooling real easy. It actually worked the first time. Nice. Here's the UEFI BIOS screen. Here's the front of the computer and the Windows 10 desktop. Again, I turned most of the lights out for effect. Over the next few weeks, I'll be benchmarking the system, and I'll post the results on my website. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.